Very nice, actually. This is the problem, you can't help yourself.
And I've been gently consuming it to an unhealthy level again. You know, I'm almost looking for the next. I don't know. You need to Google how to bring a baby on. I do know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you. So we're at Mrs. Bradford's farm, just outside Coton. We've got Glyn just over here, he's ploughing. We've got James, he's here on his Fendt because we finished combining the barley. Really pleased about that. The combines are all back. That was entertaining in a frustrating way of getting the combines back. But we had one combine which they've changed all the road networks by building some new housing estates up near Peterborough. Had one which took the wrong turning and ended up in a housing estate. We had another one take the wrong turning, ended up in the middle of Stilton, took 45 minutes to get past a parked car, so that was a bit challenging. We've had a bit of a chat about that this morning, so we've now got the Google Maps designed where we've moved the stops so that they can have a preset route for where the combines can go to avoid us ending up down a narrow street if it's actually not suitable for the combines trailing their own headers. So James is here, he's subsoiling in front of Glyn. So now the balers have been, they've collected the straw and the chasers have been. They've now got the straw over there. It's piled up, ready for the lorries, to come in. So he's pulling the tram lines up, very steely. The water, this water and spring that's had has completely compacted the ground, very tight. And so we're just lifting these tram lines up ahead of Glyn where he's going to bust them. Where we've seen where the plough's gone, where it's particularly deep, we're going to have to get James to go a second time to fill him in more level because the plough's not filling him in, it's creating the big troughs. And we can't have that come the springtime because we'll lose all the fresh soil when we're cultivating in the spring straight into all these dips. So we'll lose all the tilth and then we'll just get left with the wet, slimy soil on top. So James is on the subsoiler. It's a 3.5 metre Great Plains subsoiler, fantastic subsoiler, came out of the Simba stable. It's got auto reset legs, so basically if it hits something in the ground, instead of breaking a shear bolt, the hydraulic rams kick up and go back down. So it saves the operator a lot of time from getting out of the cabs having to fix shear bolts. So he's got some work ahead of him to head of Glyn. Now all this land that was in barley here is going into mustard, so this will be mustard next year. So we want to plough ahead of mustard, so Glyn's ploughing over there with the CTF to make to keep what we want, and we can clearly see where that's been. So we're going to just have a quick look at the combining that was here last week. So the combines are here, two of them. I've got Sandy and Richard who are both combining. We're in Zedfield. It is an odd shape, in the shape of a Z. We've got the environmental areas for the wild bird feeding down one end, and we've got Natasha here. So she's come out. This is the first harvest that she's seen. So she's here transfixed by the combines. So we might have a future farmer with me. So this will now be the fourth generation of Pecks farming with Mrs. Bradford. I've seen this will be the fourth generation seen harvest at Coton. They're going quite well. There hasn't got the level of weeds in this farm. But they've got some heat today, so that's really helping. And we've got 3 lorries here. We've got Shamrock, Simon and Andy. They're all here on the other corner waiting to get loaded. And we've got Tristan and James on the chaser bins. So this is a tram line. So where you're stood is nice crummy land.
Yep, soft.
Yeah, and it's breaking down. And then this is interesting because this is CTF. This has been ploughed with. So you've got a tram line here, and then 1.8 you've got the second wheel. And this is absolutely solid. And you can see that it's plenty wet enough when it starts to roll off the boards.
Yeah.
I mean, is it? How long ago do you think you were here ploughing?
An hour ago.
Look at that, how much. You don't think there's any dry, do you? No. Because there's no sun, but actually there's a lot of dry there.
We've got a good wind today. But
I mean, compaction wise, yeah. I mean, that is absolutely solid. I mean, that is full of platelets, you know, where it's all got squashed together. And there's just, but then it's going to be a tram line next year.
Yeah.
And this is the point of CTF, is yes, we've pulled it up and yes, it's solid, but the fact that all the compaction is here and the compaction isn't elsewhere, we've minimised the compaction to 12% of the field. It's on these lines. Yes, these are solid, these aren't ideal. And as we're finding, the only sort of downside we find with this is filtration of water.
Yeah.
And once you compact to the tram line and like this, it seals it, doesn't it, on this clay? And that's something we're going to have to think about. But actually, seeing the clearing, if we get the drone up, you know, like you said, then we might see these lines really clearly.
No, you will.
But I mean, that to me really demonstrates the importance of controlled traffic farming.
Yep.
You know, that you've put it there and look how solid it is. Well, if we'd carried on as we always used to farm at an angle, and I know as a ploughman you're obsessed with going at an angle, because you can go through the tram line rather than with the tram line. But actually that plough is phenomenal for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas your last plough, that would have had a problem with this, wouldn't it? Would have blocked up, wouldn't have run.
Yeah.
Even though you've run the subsoiler through this already, because you've got James up there on the fence in one of the other fields ahead of you, haven't you? And is he going around the headlands just to tidy up where you turn?
He's going, so like, where I'm turning on the headlands is packing it down, so I'm getting him to rip it up.
Yeah,
Just
after you've
ready.
turned, before you plough it. Are you having to leave it to let it hazel and then go? You can go straight away. Okay, fair enough.
It's just taking out that, with all that rain we've had.
Yeah.
It's just gone down so solid.
But this though.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
I mean,
Totally different.
considering the soil type, I mean, it smells good. I mean, you can smell stinky land, and over there, where obviously it's sat a bit wet, you can smell it, can't you? It's rotten. But this is nice.
No, this would be.
I mean, this is going to be mustard next year, so this is going to have a lot of frost hopefully and a lot of weather. It will break down. I mean, you're happy now because the balers have cleared and they've given you plenty to go at.
Got something to do, haven't I?
So when Glenn and I first got this plough, we got it from a neighbour down the road who's looked after it ever so well. I mean, credit to him.
Yeah.
It's a, fantastic, well looked after, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we were stood messing about with it, weren't we? And we had it on the cat, and suddenly it started to turn on its own.
Yeah.
And we were in amongst it, weren't we? And I've never had that happen before, but it was a real lesson for us. Well, I'd never seen you move so quickly. I said, you were gone, you were leaving me to it. And it was coming round, and actually it was slow, but the fact was it was powering itself to come round. It was a lesson to us not to stand.
It was a fault on the electronic spool valve, wasn't it?
Is that what it was?
On the cat,
Yeah, well that actually was frightening, wasn't it?
Well, it just draws home the fact that...
Of safety, because if you're on your own down here, I know James is over there, but you could be literally here,
you never know.
And you'd be gone, wouldn't you? You could be trapped. And I know we've got the cameras now to look at to see what's happening, but they're only, of course, as good as when you look at them. So if I'm not looking at them and you're in trouble, but that's why we have a policy that they have to take the telephone with them so that they can ring, emergency services or whatever, and they're not having to get out from where they are back into the cab.
So always take your phone in your pocket when you
always take your phone, because you just don't know what's going to happen, do you?
No. But,
No, well, we'll get it.
I'm sure this is 18 metres. Well, there's the Headland tram line.
Yeah. Well, now you said that, makes perfect sense. So from the front of the cat to the back is 18 metres.
Oh no, from the front of the cat we're about 24.
Right, okay.
The actual plough is about 18.
So that's long, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a proper plough, isn't it?
That's nice.
Right, well we'll leave you to it, and you'll be waiting for lunch. That'll be on its way soon, the next hour.
Yeah, Jimmy's rung up.
Oh, has he? Oh,
I sent him a pin, don't worry.
Are you getting? Are you like Jimmy's best friend? Does he come to you first?
Well, I was disappointed the other day. He said I'll be with you just after 2, and it was like 4 o'clock.
Oh no! Oh no!
I was about
so I'm assuming that didn't go very well for Jimmy. So now he's coming to you first.
Well, I don't know if he'll come first or not. I might get it first.
You might, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But do you know what it is today?
It's jacket potato.
Jacket potato, yeah. Oh, very good. This tractor has got a sound that's absolutely extraordinary. It's pulling hard. The amazing thing about the GPS is it's got the width in, it starts him in the right place. So when he ends up on the outside of the field, it's absolutely perfect. It's in the right place. That's what you call man's land. Look at the way that it turns the furrows over it. That's why they're all angled. So as the soil comes up, it twists and turns it back over. Extremely strong land, this clay. You need proper horsepower to be able to work it. Glyn is an extraordinary ploughman. There aren't many operators who can run Challengers and then run a plough on them. And he is extraordinary on this plough. A lot of people wouldn't be able to cope with this. It would frighten them. And even though he's in a small field, which is probably only about 10 hectares, something like that, and it's got 8 corners in it. I mean, he's got a nice field there, which is next door, which is, you know, twice the size, and it's just, you know, could have gone from one side to the other. He goes and picks the awkward one first. And the back furrows stay up in the air like a mini plough, and then he puts them down separately. So if it gets really wet or difficult, he can lift that section up and then just plough with the front, or actually vice versa. If he wants to plough a corner out in a field, he can actually do that by just using the back section to pull the corner out. You can see here in the corner of that field where it naturally dips dough into a low. That's from years and years of ploughing that happened in the past, and then when they dropped the power harrow in and pulled forward, it took the soil with it and it created this natural bowl. That's why you often see the corners of fields where they're really low and they need to actually have soil put back in them. It's because we've been ploughing the soil out and we've been ploughing power harrowing the soil with us. So that's why you see these low corners, and then you often see them full of water when they start to get particularly low. So you see now Glyn's really starting to get on now. It's marching up there. It's doing a good job. The stubble's quite high along here, and he's burying it. Just you remember how strong the land is here when you see it ploughed, and actually how wet it is, how much water's in it. We're obviously going to drill a mustard crop in it, which will be in March, April time, so it's got quite a lot of time to weather and break down. And I'm just wondering where my dog is. I seem to have mislaid my dog. He's got down here, he's got in these environmental areas, and he's obviously finding something to entertain him. And he's not reappeared, which is concerning. No doubt I'm going to have to spend the next 10 minutes wandering around looking for him. Oh dear. Now, you were just asking me about the corners.
Yeah.
So you've gone on the headland turns. You've told it was on one, was it? As it would have been for spraying.
Yeah.
You told it you're on the subsoil, have you?
Yeah. Told it I'm on subsoilers, so it sets.
And you put 3 times round.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Is that all you're doing? Is only 3?
Yeah, just 3 times round he wants. Yeah.
But what happens when you go to the tram line here?
Well, I wondered that on the next one, because he's done this one by the look of it,
Yeah.
but the other fields won't be done.
Right, because he did this earlier.
Yeah.
Right, you need to put 6 in.
Right, okay, and go 6 times round.
No, ask him what he needs.
Okay.
Because then that'll capture that one.
Yeah, yeah.
If you see what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with
6
you.
times 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So when you get to the corners,
Yeah.
so the system is set for it will bend.
Yes.
And it will bend into the field.
Yeah.
So you're coming along and you're probably thinking, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And actually, suddenly, it's going to go off.
Yeah, that's exactly
Now,
what it does, yeah.
you at the point before it bends, you need to manually drive
Yeah.
that last bit.
Yeah.
And the reason we have it doing that
Yeah.
is because if you're on a sprayer
Yeah.
and you got it slightly wrong, you put the boom in the hedge.
Right.
Or
okay.
you would put the combine header in the hedge.
Yeah, yeah,
So it bends round. We can make it go dead straight.
yeah.
You could turn back on yourself and you get a line back, but then you've got the risk of putting things
Yeah.
in the hedge.
Into
when
the
you,
hedge,
and
yeah.
I'd rather have it go off to the inside of the
Yeah,
field
yeah.
and having to
sense,
back
yeah.
up and go again,
Yeah, yeah.
you wouldn't have that problem. So that's
Yeah.
why you'll find it will suddenly do it. You just got to
Yeah.
manually take over.
Yeah, because that's what I was like, and yeah, it started veering to the right quite
Yeah.
hard. So I was like, whoa, clicked
Yeah.
it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just do the steering wheel, it'll
Yeah.
come off. Cousin Michael,
Cousin James.
how are you?
All right, thank you. How are you?
Well, we're ploughing at Coton.
Ploughing at Coton. How exciting!
I said
thought you were already-
I said to Father, he said, where are you off to? He says, I'm off to the plough at Coton. So of course I'm talking about physical ploughing at Coton, and of course the pub is called the Plough at Coton. So he said, oh, very nice for you, isn't it? Tootling off for lunch. I said, no, you misunderstand. What?
I wouldn't put it past you to nip into the plough anyway.
Well, no, Michael, because I'm getting ready now. I'm getting psyched up. So I was off the Diet Coke for about, I don't know, 2.5 weeks, something like that. And I've been gently consuming it to an unhealthy level again. So I've got myself psyched up, but I'm now going to go for the diet again, all over again. So I'm just pre-warning you that you'll be happy to know that I've gained a pound or two, but I'm now getting myself ready, and I think I'm going to start next week.
Okay, there's nothing like signing yourself up. You just keep putting it off a day or two.
Well, I need you to put some weight on, because as you well know, if you put weight on, I lose weight. If you lose weight, I put weight on, but I'm pretty determined.
Well, you ought to be very skinny by now.
Is that right? Yeah, looking at the time, 2:30, have you already had a feast?
I might have had a little snack out.
A little snack. Ferrero Rocher, Michael.
Did you ring just to abuse me, or did you want something important?
No, I just rang to abuse you. I've got absolutely... And in fact, I'm actually returning your call.
I wanted to get this barley sorted out, really.
Oh, right. So hold on a second. I rang you last night. I said, right, let's get the seed ordered for the barley. You said, I can't. Mr. Waffle is here, but he's going shortly. And
But I couldn't get rid of it. It's like a bad smell. It is.
oh, dear. Right, I'll ring you back later then when I've got my computer in front of me, and we'll get the seed ordered.
Yeah, because they are processing barley at the minute.
Yes,
So-
yes. I know the urgency is now with you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. The good news is when I'm walking across the stubble like this, I'm not seeing too many heads. Where, like there, for example, that's obviously got barley in it, and that's either got cut off there, so that was hanging down low, and that's on the floor. And that's one of the problems with barley, is if you don't harvest it at the right time. It's why we tend to go relatively early in it, and accept that we might have to do a bit of drying. Is that if this goes down, the header cuts it off, and then you get your eye and you can see 2 or 3, and this is lost yield because this is now on the floor, perfectly good seeds, but that had hung down, the knife section had come through, that had cut it off, and drops onto the floor. And I've had times before where it was breaking off, breaking off and falling on the floor, and we came into harvest, and everywhere you walked were the ears full of barley. So now this machine here, this is Henry Rowoff, his team, and they come and do the barley. We've been working together probably about 5-6 years now doing straw, and this is a woofler, and this is basically, because we're on CTF, we need to be able to pick it up and turn it over the straw back on the same spot. So that is effectively lifting that straw up, turning that over, and it's putting it back on the same spot so that the wheelings are in the same place. It's quite a quick job, and it's basically allowing the sun and the wind to dry the straw, and what's wet below, it turns it back over, so that's now got the wet on the top and the dry below, so that's now just drying that ahead of the balers who are baling it, and it's just aiding us to get on to bale a bit quicker. and ahead of any poor conditions. Even though it's not really sunny today, it's quite warm and there is a bit of a breeze, which is pretty perfect for this type of operation to get it drying. And the balers are just behind me over here. We're going to go and have a look. There's 2 balers here, so he'll dedicate 2 balers to us all season. So we'll have a couple of wooflers, and got to be careful how you say that. And there's a couple of balers, and then there's a chaser driver, and he'll be here chasing. We'll look for him because he has to chase. So the bales have to bale on the same lines as the CTF where the combines ran. The woofler went on it, the balers run on it, then the chaser has to run on it. So when the bale comes out the back of the balers, it rolls over to the side, and then on front of the chaser tractor is a bar at an angle. It just repositions the bale down on the side so that when the chaser runs along, it picks the bale up to the side so the tractor never comes off the wheelings. So all the field that we're stood on, outside of the 12%, is not compacted. So all this land is uncompacted, and we're only compacting the wheelings. As we saw where the ploughing is where it's compacts just in those wheelings, but we know where to concentrate the subsoiling and how to deal with the wheelings as opposed to the rest of the field. So we've got 88% of the field with no compaction on at all. It's quite a nice view up here. This field's called Pecklands. It's about 46 acres. So the family house is over there, the grain stores are there, we've got the A428 over there, that end of the farm we've got the A14, we've got one of Henry's team baling here, there's a second baler over there, the woofler's there, so Henry uses the Heston balers, the Massey Fergusons on his fence, so he's whipping it up at the front, is bringing it in and it's compacting it, and there's like a big pressure ram backwards and forwards, and it's basically pushing that straw together, and then when it gets to the end it is wrapping the straw, it ties the straw up, and then it will put it out in a line, and you can look across the field and you can see all of the bales across, all the wheelings still in the same place on the CTF. They're doing a nice job. There's a bit of heat here, so you can feel that, you can smell as well. The straw smells differently. Before, when we were here, you could smell the damp, smell the greenness in it. It's dried out well. We're losing, though, quite a bit of straw in the wheelings, where because it's all woofled up, it's dropping now below the stubble, and the balers can't pick it up when it's below the stubble height. So that's one of the disadvantages from this system. And where we've got deep tram lines, you know, the straw is ending up in the tram lines and the balers can't pick it up. So we're losing actually quite a lot of straw on these deep tram lines. So the wet winter, the wet spring continues to plague us. And you can see where the balers have sort of been scratching with their tines across the top. So they're doing their utmost to try and get it in. But, you know, as it's got driven into the tram lines, and then here, for example, you've got, this is a non-tram line. This is what we refer to as an intermediate, which is one of the, this is number 12 and 24. But there's a lot of straw here. It's getting driven into to the point that they can't pick it up. That's the problem with the wet weather and the woofling system. You really want to sit it on top and be able to come straight in behind and bale it. We've got the heaps of bales forming down in Rectory Farm there, so they're ready to go off on lorries getting loaded up. They've already had 6 lorries have already gone, and so we're just constantly having lorries going. And we need that to happen because we've got to supply quite a lot in July, so hopefully we'll get all the barley straw baled and outloaded for July, which is also important for cash flow because we won't see this money until sort of September, and so we need to, you know, we need to each month be having incomes coming in because this is the really expensive time for us. You know, all the staff, all the diesel, all the machinery breakdowns, all the damage, etc. I mean, the HP is on a 12 months, so that keeps coming, but it's all the extras this time of year. So this is the Chaser tractor. So these are the CTF wheelings are here, one there, straight down the field. You can see now he's on the front. He's got a an attachment on a wheel, which as it comes up to the bale, so it's now putting that bale up in the air. The grey bit on the, oh God, the dog's found a hare to chase. You see the wheel, he's coming up to this bale. So he's just going to push that over, staying on the wheelings. Then that grabs hold of it, puts the bale into the frame, and he'll keep stacking that up, and then he takes that to the main stack. So he'll go around the field, he'll keep all these bales onto that trailer, then he goes off to the end of the field, and then he backs up just like any trailer on rams, puts the bales up like that, drops them on the floor, pulls forward and leaves them up in a stack ready for the forklift to pick them up and put them on a lorry. Spent a lot of time in 2012 working on this type of system to keep baling in CTF. And most of the Chasers, you see, the tractor drives to the side, compacting the field to pick up the bale that's been dropped off on the line. And I didn't want that. I needed to stay on the tram lines, and I needed to get the bale over and then pick the bale up on the side, so the tractor and all the weight and that trailer all stays on these tram lines, because these tram lines, absolutely solid. They're absolutely solid. So that's where you want the weight. Then all this land, you can still put your heel in. It hasn't got the compaction on it, and you can grow a crop. So he's just tipped off the bales. It's a really smart little system, this. It's a nice lightweight trailer, flotation tyres. The tractor is well suited for this role. And you can see the stack here where he has tipped them off. We've got slightly undulating ground. What I want to show you is how dangerous these stacks are, because as a child I remember going with the small bales, the normal ones you pick up as you know, in one hand, and we used to play on them and it was great fun and jump off them and things, but actually these are silent killers, because they weigh about 600 kilograms. Sometimes they can weigh more, and the barley generally weighing at the moment about 580 kilograms, a little bit lighter than just because of the density of the straw, and the moisture in them is about 12%. But if a bale falls, and you can see the angle they're at, you wouldn't hear it, and you'd be stood underneath it, and it would fall, and it would hit you 600 kilograms. It'd be a bit like picking up a mini car and dropping it on you, and it would just kill you. So you need to keep away from these. We try to put these in places that won't be where children are going to come and play on them, or anyone's going to come and camp underneath them. But there are, you know, people are a bit naive about the safety aspect of these bales. So we're taking them away. All of our straw goes at harvest straight to the power station or straight to their holding sites. We don't want the stacks here. Last year we had somebody set one alight, and Flynn. See, Flynn has got no sense at all, and you often come to a stack and you suddenly see it falling over. You can see the outside ones here, they put at a different angle, so these ones are pushing up against it to hold them up, but really dangerous. So Henry uses the JCB forklifts. When we were storing straw at Waterbeach, we had about 100,000 bales down the runways. I mean, it was the most enormous stack. And we had a lightning strike on the top of one stack, which set it alight. But this is the bale grab, and it's got these metal spikes that basically are forcing into the bales, and then you pull the thing over on the top, and it grabs them, makes it safe, and that's what you then put them on the lorry. Or if you were doing long-term storage here, you would restack this stack. But this stack, obviously, there's lorries coming in constantly, and so this hopefully will be gone today, what you see there on the lorries. So you know, won't have any safety issues. But we have to put a front on them when going down the road, or some have it where they spin up so that you can't harpoon a car. Flynn's not going to find out that this is, yeah, he's coming away, but he's not yelping, so I don't think he got stung. But we just had these dropped off. So this is honey from the mustard, and this is honey from the oilseed rape. So both done at Great Eversden. And the Ukrainian family who are doing the bees very kindly gave me these, which is hugely appreciative because we're quite keen on the honey at home. But just thought I'd show you the colour difference. I mean, it's just between two different crops. You know, even though they're both brassicas, mustard and oilseed rape, you'd think that they'd be very similar colour, but yeah, mustard here and oilseed rape. Now, if I was to look at these and was to guess what I thought it would have been, I would have said that was beans. And I'd have said that was oilseed rape. But yeah, that's actually the rape and that's the mustard. So be interested to see what it tastes like. I might be brave enough to try it now while you're all here, but let's try that one. It's very nice actually. This is the problem, you can't help yourself. It's not what I want to get stuck all over the carpet in the car, though, I must say. Oh, bugger it. Oh, whatever. I have. Well, then this one. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, look, it's really completely different texture, like it's full of salt. Sorry, sugar. Oh, yeah. Completely different. That's an extraordinary difference in taste. I think, do you know, I really like the mustard. I think the mustard one's my favourite. Completely different. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what these ones do. Pete needs to get down here and get some honey out of these bees. Very dusty already, the new solar, they're turning it on today. They're really off the ground actually. The original solar we put in 2012 is probably hit down here. Surprising how high it is. Nice frames though. Shouldn't rust, galvanised. Got the inverters. Let's have a look at that. Somebody's mowed it between. It always struck me that it would make sense to have these across, say, you know, supermarket car parks. So you park effectively underneath and the whole canopy above is solar. You know, because, you know, a car park is effectively, you know, like a building in the sense that it's a tarmacked area. You know, there's no value there, so why not just have a big canopy of solar above it? They're very much on a plug and play. So they bolt the panels in, they clip them in, tighten them up, they sit there on these rails, and then they plug in. You know, not dissimilar to like doing your Christmas tree lights. It's a smart installation. It's all been done by Anglia Farmers. They've organised this, and then they've had Ivy come in and they've done the full installation, and they've used different teams who put up the frames and then put the panels in. Then they have electrical company come in and do all the wiring, etc. I mean, look at the size of the cables. You know, going back to the main control room, I mean, they're substantial. And this is, you know, hopefully, and they turn it on, and just before we start the wheat harvest, going to really start generating and cutting down the electric bills. I mean, the electric bills have been devastating for us. I mean, where we'd normally be spending somewhere between 150, you know, to 200,000 pounds on electric, when it went up to £1 and 3p, we were suddenly over £1 million worth of electric bill. And you know, that came from nowhere. It got to the point we had to turn the site off and just stop. We couldn't run at that because the charge out price wasn't great enough to take it. And we just happened to have got caught where our contract came out and a new contract started, and the electric had gone from sort of 14 pence straight up to £1.03. So we're trying to protect ourselves for the future. So if we are going to have more wars, or we're going to have more energy crises, we can try and mitigate some of those costs by putting our own infrastructure in. I'd rather invest on this farm on here and put in these capital projects than I would give the money to the electric companies and never see it again. I mean, it amazes me that we've got all these pylons going across. They want to pay us £2 a pylon to have these pylons going across the field. And we want a connection to come in, and they want to charge us £100,000 to put a connection into the barn. No understanding the fact that we're facilitating the electric network across the country. And then we're having to ask them permission to be allowed to have the solar panels to connect into our site. Kieran backed into the back of the combine. Sorry, backed the combine into a fence post when it was down in Lincolnshire, and he bent the tin in, but it hasn't actually damaged the rotor, the bearings, or bent the shaft, and it hasn't bent the frame. We're very lucky. So we're trying to, Team Lithuania is now trying to build, panel build. No, Sandy, we've stopped combining. You need this baby now. Come on. What are we going to do about it?
I don't know. What can we do about it?
I don't know. You need to Google how to bring a baby on. I do know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you. Ask Graham. He's an expert at these things. Aren't you? Huh? Are you an expert? A hot bath? Okay. Is it? Okay, well there you are. Run the bath. Yeah, you've heard it from Graham. That's how you do it. Maternity ward Graham. We're sitting in the canteen room just waiting for Kieran to come with the sample. He's looking rather pleased with himself, so that's probably why he thinks he's won the bet. But come on then.
No, I'm not.
Show me then, what's the result? Oh, I was the closest.
He was.
I can't believe that.
No.
18.1.
Yeah. That's close. But I think it did throw.
You don't do the thinking
an
round
error
here.
on. No,
I
an
do the
error
thinking.
On the thing. But if you go down and get a proper big sample,
All right.
there.
I need Sandy to have his baby.
Yeah.
You need to have his baby now.
Yeah, and then you can get on it.
Yeah.
Show us how it's done.
I am, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready, don't you worry. I'm going to get my box of Diet Cokes ready. Yeah, I've told Michael today I'm going on my diet on Monday. I might have to rethink that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I've just sat here and eaten apple pie and custard.
I bet you enjoyed that.
Do you know? I'm almost looking for the next.
There's another one somewhere. 'Cause I left
Very
one.
nice it was. There is no one. Yeah, but Tom's having that. Yeah, very
There's
nice.
One of them.
Right, go get the sample then. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's make a plan. So what we got here is the black grass that we were looking at in one of the fields where we were cutting the barley, but the black grass is still green. Are the seeds viable, or have they not matured enough to become viable? So what we've done, we took a couple, we just let them dry out a bit. I bought some nice sort of blotting paper, and we're going to take the seeds out, we're going to put them on here, I'm going to put them in a tray, soak it with water, and then see if they chit and grow. I'm going to try and do 100 to see what the percentage of growth is out of 100, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm hopeful, because we cut the barley early, the black grass isn't viable. I'd be disappointed if it is, because then my idea didn't work. The other thing, a sandy idea, we bought these reflective strips with with sticky on the inside, so we're going to wrap them around the telegraph poles. We also bought a staple gun to put them on, so if the lights reflect on them, the telegraph poles in the middle of the field will stand out, because if you've got rape up here and you've got wheat down here, sometimes you can't see them. So we bought these so we don't hit the headers, and we can put them around the fence fences that go around the drain covers or anything else, any other obstacles in the fields. So that's a good idea that Sandy's come up with. So we're going to implement putting them everywhere. My blackgrass trial's not going to go very well. It's just suddenly dawned on me for what I've ordered from Amazon, which I was impressed with, was my blotting paper for my blackgrass trial. Turns out, now reading the leaflet it's come with, is actually already got seeds embedded in it, and you wet this up and then it starts growing. So of course my 100 seed test for blackgrass would be full of some very pretty flowers, which would then, I'd be wondering how that had happened. So I think I'm going to have to order some new paper, and we're going to have to do this now on Monday. My little trial has failed. Apart from my paper being a failure, the seeds, it's amazing how many seeds there are on here. It's frightening, really. Just off this, all these are blackgrass plants potentially per seed. And this is why it's a numbers game, and we're fighting this battle against blackgrass. But when you see actually how resourceful this plant is in surviving, and how many seeds are on here, I mean, just think that was just out of 2, and you've got, I mean, that's a lot of seeds, isn't it? That's a big problem, for trying to spray that out, control that. So it'll be interesting to see if these are viable or not. You're going to have to wait though for me to go back to Amazon. So this part is the part which came off Tristan's tractor on the Fendt on the front wheel, which failed. Just an alloy body where it's cracked effectively on here, let the air out, and then the tyres got run low on pressure, got hot, and it resulted in us spending £5,000 to put some new tyres on. And purely from something like this, I would have thought that, considering the application that these work in, that this alloy is not the smartest thing to have on a big rim like that. And it's just such a small part has caused so much cost and damage. It's extraordinary. 26th of July, it's a muggy day, little bit of sun. On the whole, if we were combining, it'd be a good day. We're not actually combining. The guys had yesterday off, and they brought back the combines the night before, and there's a story in itself. They get the combine drivers and the chaser bin guys, apart from James, are gonna have this weekend off, and James is going on the subsoil. Are going to keep ahead of Glyn to help him out. Glyn's cracking on with the ploughing. He's just told me it's really tight. He's shocked how wet it is. I think it's a surprise how tight the soil is and what the wear rates are going to be. I think Spaldings will be delighted because their parts will be flying off the shelves on our Impress stock. So that will put a smile on their faces. We're over 9,000 subscribers, so thank you everybody that's hit subscribe. I have a personal sort of an objective to get to 10,000 by the end of July. So if you haven't subscribed, hit the button, please. Make my end of week. So Challenger, I had one of those days when everything sort of tended to go wrong. And Challenger had 2 pipes that rubbed together and the steering failed. And then we had Kieran backing into a gate post with the combine indenting that on a combine that's probably about 2 weeks old. The forklift, when Simon put the forklift together, then the wheels wouldn't activate them in the right way. It turned out there is a sequence that you have to do to bleed it, and if you don't do it, it won't work. But thank you to John at Oliver's for telling us how to do it. That really did make a difference. We've done a sample of wheat. The first one came in at 18.1, so I got pretty excited. And then Kieran's gone out and got a much bigger sample and tried it. It's coming at 24. I hope he hasn't piddled in it to make sure that he can have the weekend off. But so we're going to plan now for next week. Now that's going to take a bit of pressure off Steve because he's still drying barley, and the thought of suddenly truck after truck coming in to bring wheat in when he hasn't finished the barley would be a logistical nightmare. The lorry drivers are having a weekend off. They worked really hard as well, carting the corn back, so thank you to them. So we'll see what Monday brings. The DAS, I had a letter from DAS, which is something I'd done for the NFU insurance, which basically pays for the legal fees if you have a problem with the insurance. So we took that out, and we've had it since 2013. So we've been paying out a premium for that, and then we've had an incident where we used it, and they then didn't pay out on the legal fees because they said that we had a contribution from the other party, and their terms and conditions said that by their discretion. So that was an absolutely pointless policy. I've been paying out for 11 years and I've now cancelled it, and unbelievable. Terms and conditions says their discretion. I think it's appalling. Looking forward to Monday, getting started on the wheat. That's when harvest really starts. That's when it really starts to get interesting. And then the cultivations can start then full force, because the baling will have cleared a big area hopefully this weekend, which will allow the others to crack on. And Raymond to get the Trana out. Freddie's running the Joker at the moment on what was the oilseed rape land, finishing the seabeds off there. So, and Glyn can get back on his mould drainer and ploughing and jump between them. Thank you for the continued interest and questions. I find this an easier way to answer the questions. So first one, farm safe seed. Yes, we do farm safe seed. We can't do the hybrid barley. We do the beans, we can do the peas, we can do the oats, and the wheat. Yes, we do farm safe seed. We also buy in seed if we wanted to try new varieties, etc. But yeah, we pick the best fields, pick the ones without the black grass in it, and then generally take the seed from those, as long as they pass the necessary tests. Talcum powder on tracks. Yes, when we put new tracks on, we always put talcum powder on or cement dust to run in. Which as you get them, you have to get them hot, get them up and down the road first, then pour it in so it sucks it into the rubber. That makes them harder, so that you get less wear and tear on the inside. Pig slurry for cabbage stem flea beetle. I'm not familiar with that, but if we could get hold of pig slurry, then we would use it. But like all these things, it's difficult to get hold of chicken manure, pig slurry, etc. I'm going to work out what the barley yielded this weekend. I haven't done it today, been preoccupied with other things. I think sometimes you don't rush about to work out something you don't want to know the answer to. But low loader, the combines, the difficulty of low loading combines, yes, we did have a low loader, purely so that we could move things like that around. The issue is you put a combine on, you go to the other end, you drop the combine off, and then you haven't got the header because it won't fit on together. And you haven't got a tractor to load the header on, so you now need to get a tractor to put the header on, and then you need a tractor at the other end to unload the header, or if you take the header first, you've got nothing at the other end. So that's why we don't do it, because actually it's quicker just to drive it. And most of our journeys are relatively simple, and we don't always go from one distance to the furthest. We sometimes go to places in between, so it breaks the journeys up. But thank you again very much for subscribing. And we look forward to seeing you next week, and hope you all have a nice weekend.